Hello everybody. Today we're going to be looking at graphing scatter plots with a graphing calculator. Basically there are three things that you have to do in order to graph a scatter plot using a graphing calculator. First, you have to put the data in the calculator. Second, you have to tell the calculator what to do with the data. And finally, you have to pick a window. A window so that you can actually see what you're looking at, the graph. Step 1, putting data in the calculator. In order to make a scatter plot, we're going to need some data. Specifically, you'll need two lists that can represent x and y coordinates. For example, recent data collected from the U.S. Bureau of Statistics suggests that the workplace is becoming a safer place. This table shows the number of fatal work injuries for the United States from the years 1992 to 2007. Well, let's put this data into our calculator, starting with the year 1992. To do this, we first push stat and then edit. A lot of times teachers just say these together, stat edit. You can push edit by pushing enter, or you can push the number 1. Then we can start putting in the data one at a time, 1992, and then push enter. You can see this is the first piece of data in L1. Now I'm going to put in the second piece of data, 1993. Enter and so forth. At this point, you should pause the video and put all the remaining data into L1. I'm going to pause the taping of this video right now and do the same. Okay, and we're back. Now we need to go over to list 2, so arrow over to list 2, and we're going to put the number of fatal injuries in list 2. So let's put 6, 2, 7, or 17, and push enter. That's a good point. Putting data in is probably one of the biggest places where a student makes a miscalculation or something goes wrong with their data. Has to do with data entry. So be very careful as you enter this data in. 1992, there were 6,217 fatalities in the workplace. Again, I'm going to pause the video. You should do the same and put the number of fatal injuries by entering the number and pushing enter until you have all 15 years in. And there we go. As I entered this data, I also realized something, that there's more than 15 years of data. There's 16 years of data. I know this because I can look right here and see it says 16. 16 pieces of data, that means there's 16 years of data there. Well, there you have it. We have the data in the calculator. The next step to this is going to be to tell the calculator what kind of graph we want it to make. In this case, we want it to make a scatter plot. So let's do a second stat plot, which is second right here, and stat plot. And second stat plot, you get a screen that looks like this. This gives us 3 plots, and then if you arrow down further, you get these 4 and 5 commands, and these are not plots. These are commands to either turn all of the plots off all at once or turn them all on at once. We're not interested in either. We're just simply going to turn on one plot, and we will select 1. At this point it says off, it's highlighted. To turn it on you have to push enter and then arrow down to the next thing, which tells us what kind of plot do we want to make. It's already selected a scatter plot here. This is a line graph, this is a histogram, 2 types of box and whiskers, and I believe a greatest integer graph. This asks where we're going to pull the data. Luckily we put our data in L1 and we put our Y data in L2, so we should be all set there. We could change this to L3 and L4 or wherever data is, as long as data is there. Finally, there's a mark to pick. You can pick one of these 3 marks. Unless you have a lot of data, more data than we have right now, I would not pick this small little dot because it becomes very hard to see sometimes in a graphing calculator. I've actually had students pick it and mistake a little fleck of something on their calculator as a piece of data point, plot it for their homework, and get those questions wrong. So I do recommend either this little circle square thing or the cross, which either way would be good. Either way, we've done what we needed to do. We have told the calculator what kind of graph we would like it to make. We've also entered the data in the calculator, so that leaves us with, finally, telling the calculator where to look for this data. And to do this, we're going to push window, and here we have a window range. In general, what we're going to want to do is make the minimum x value to be just slightly smaller than the smallest number in the x data, or in this case L1, which is the year. So we want something slightly smaller than 1992. Why don't we pick 1990. All right. And then for the x max, we want it to be slightly larger. This is 2007, so we guess we could probably go to 2000. Just for evenness, we'll say 2009. So 2009. That gives us about 19 years. Maybe 20 years would be better. Let's back that up and pick that to be 2010. It's nice to have a nice even number, especially for our next part. This is 20 years here. To get 10 dots, it's going to put a dot every one there, which means there'll be 20 dots from left to right across our screen. Well, that's probably too many. So let's just make it go in jumps of 2. So for every 2 years, there'll be a dot on the x-axis letting us know it goes 90, 92, 94, and so forth. All right, the y-min. What's our smallest number of injuries that happened here? Looks like 5,575 was our lowest year. Oh, no. 5,534 is our lowest year. Let's make it slightly smaller than that. So we will pick 5,500. And 4x min and 4x max, or y max, min and y max is going to be just slightly bigger than our largest year, most deadly year, which was 66, I believe. 6,632. Let's make this, an even 7,000. Okay. And now here becomes really important. Realize that if we left the scale at 1, we would have 1,500 dots going from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen, and that's just not very realistic. Let's see, if we put a dot every 100, that seems pretty reasonable. Okay. And that should be it. We should be able to see the data now in this window. So we have accomplished the 3 things. We've accomplished putting the data in the calculator. We've accomplished telling the calculator what kind of graph we want it to make. And finally, where to look for the graph. So at this point, we should be able to push the word graph without any mistakes. And there's your data. A couple of nice things about the data. You can push trace, and you can see by arrowing over, it'll give you each year if you need that data back very quickly. Okay. And so forth. I'm going to quit out of here and back to the graph. And that is the graph your data. Congratulations, you made your first scatter plot.